Hello students, you're all welcome to today's lesson. We have integrated science and I believe you are ready to learn something. We'll continue where we left off the last time when we met and were talking about the respiratory system in humans. Respiratory system in humans. So let's get ready to study something new. I hope you're all ready. Very good. Okay, so we are still studying respiratory system in humans. Respiratory system in humans. Who can remind us of what we've been studying so far? Just mention anything you remember about what we've studied so far. Yes. Okay. Aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. Okay. We remember the parts of the respiratory system: the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, the bronchus, the bronchi, the alveoli, the bronchioles, the diaphragm. Good. They are all things we've mentioned in our previous lessons. What do they all do? What part do they play in respiration? You should know all that. Remember the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration: taking place in the presence of oxygen, another taking place without oxygen. Okay, one making a lot of energy available, the other making very less energy available. Okay, that's good. Let's see what we have today. We've mentioned most of the things we'll be treating today. Today, at the end of the lesson, you should know the difference, or you should know external respiration or breathing. We mentioned it slightly in our previous lesson. We'll be delving deeper. You should know external respiration or breathing. Okay, you should also know breathing in humans. When we talk about breathing in humans, what is the entire process? How does it take place? What are the processes it follows? We mentioned this shortly in our previous lesson. We'll delve deeper today. Okay, then finally, you should be able to talk about the importance or the usefulness of respiration. The importance or the usefulness of respiration. Very good. All right, let's get ready and let's continue. What is external respiration or breathing? External respiration or breathing. External respiration is the exchange of gases between living organisms and its surrounding. Breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. Breathing in oxygen and then bringing out carbon dioxide. So it's the exchange of gases. When you take in oxygen and you bring out carbon dioxide, we say you are having external respiration or breathing. It is usually referred to as gaseous exchange because you're exchanging oxygen for carbon dioxide. That is what is called gaseous exchange or breathing Remember, external respiration is the exchange of gases. Repeat after me. Is the exchange of gases. When you exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide, external respiration is taking place. It's the exchange of gases between living organisms and its surroundings. Okay, let's continue. So now we know what external respiration or breathing is. Now let's look at it in full detail over here. Breathing is the inhalation of oxygen and the exhalation of carbon dioxide in humans. You know, we breathe in oxygen. Another word for breathing in is inhalation. And another word for breathing out is exhalation. Okay, so breathing in oxygen is the inhalation of oxygen, and breathing out carbon dioxide is the exhalation of carbon dioxide. So breathing does both things, in and out. So the inhalation of oxygen and the exhalation of carbon dioxide in humans or in animals is what is called breathing. So when you say breathing in and breathing out, they are all breathing. So breathing is inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide. Okay, now I hope you remember the diagram of the human respiratory system. It is one that contains several structures. Let's remind ourselves. Yes, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchiole, alveoli. The alveoli is also called the air sacs. Okay, the alveoli is also called the air sacs. This part is in the lungs. That is where the exchange of gases takes place. The alveoli. That is where the exchange of gases takes place. The actual exchange of respiratory gases takes place in the alveoli. Yes, when we finish this lesson today, go and locate the alveoli in the respiratory system of human beings. They are called the air sacs. It is the fine endings of the bronchioles. Air sacs, the fine endings of the bronchioles. That is where the gaseous exchange takes place. So we say that the actual exchange of respiratory gases takes place in the alveoli. Very good. Let's continue. Now, when we breathe in, air passes through the mouth or the nose. At the back of the nose is the nasal cavity. We'll be studying what happens at each stage of the respiratory system and how it helps in gaseous exchange. Okay, so now we've gone through the mouth, we've gone through the nose, and we are at the nasal cavity. Listen to this. The surface of the nasal cavity is lined with fine hairs called cilia, which secretes shiny mucus. Now, do you know that when you have catarrh, sometimes you bring out some substance, it's slimy and it looks awful sometimes. That is the mucus, and it is in the nasal cavity. It has a very important role to play in respiration or in breathing in and breathing out. We'll find out in our next slide. So remember, after the mouth or the nose, when air has entered, air continues to the nasal cavity. And we are saying that in the nasal cavity, there are fine hairs, and these hairs are called what? Cilia. Fine hairs in the nasal cavity, and then they secrete shiny mucus. They secrete shiny mucus. Okay, this mucus, what does it do? All it does is that it traps dust and germs from the air before it gets to the lungs. It traps dust and germs from the air before they get to the lungs. You realize that the organs in the lungs are very delicate, and we can't allow germs or air to get in there. So right in the nasal cavity, all those air and the germs are trapped. Okay, air enters through the mouth or the nose into the nasal cavity, and in the nasal cavity we have cilia, which secretes mucus, and they trap the dust and the germs. Now, the movement of cilia sweeps the mucus towards the throat, where it is swallowed or coughed out during catarrh or phlegm. So what happens here is that movement of the cilia, okay, when the cilia in the nasal cavity sweeps the mucus towards the throat, you can either swallow it sometimes or bring them out as phlegm. You see that when you have catarrh, you bring out some mucus, I was talking to you about it the first time, some yellowish greenish substance. Good, that is it. That is what has been trapping the air and the germs. That is what has been trapping the dust and the germs. So we are saying that it comes up into the throat, or it comes up into the throat, and you cough it as catarrh or phlegm. Is that clear? You either cough it or you swallow it, but most of the time if it comes, it is an uneasy feeling, so you can just bring it out. Okay, now mucus can also be expelled by blowing the nose. You know that feeling when you have catarrh. Once again, you hold your nose with a handkerchief and then you blow it out. Those are the mucus in the nasal cavity which traps dust or germs. So they are not healthy. You shouldn't swallow them. Bring them out. Okay, all right. Now we've gone through the process of air passing through the nose or the mouth into the nasal cavity where mucus takes germs and dust particles. Let's continue. After the air from the mouth or nose have been sieved, it passes through the larynx, the voice box, to the trachea, the windpipe. Okay, the trachea branches into the bronchi, one each into the lungs. Okay, let's continue the process again. From the mouth or the nose to the nasal cavity. Okay, from the nasal cavity to the larynx or the voice box, then to the trachea, then from the trachea to the bronchi, then the bronchi branches one to each lung. Very good, very good. I hope you are following. Okay, now these are quite some notes for you so that you can read and you understand better, but the diagram is in the previous slide. So the bronchi in the lungs branches into 100 thin tubes called bronchioles. When you look at the respiratory system in humans, you will be able to identify the bronchioles. It is the bronchi that branches to the bronchioles. Now each bronchiole then ends up in a bunch of tiny air sacs called alveoli. Okay, the bronchiole, they end up as the air sacs and they are called alveoli. These are tiny bunch of they end up in a bunch of tiny air sacs. That is how we call them, tiny air sacs called alveoli. Okay, one is alveolus and the plural is alveoli. One is alveolus and the plural is alveoli. It is covered with a network of capillaries. Okay, it is covered with a network of capillaries and the surface of which oxygen can diffuse in. It is covered with a network of capillaries like a string bag. We told you that they are air sacs, so they are structures which are called air sacs, and their surface is such that oxygen and carbon dioxide can enter. And the way the oxygen and the carbon dioxide enter, we call that term diffusion. So oxygen and carbon dioxide diffuse into the alveoli. Okay, very good. Now when oxygen or air reaches the alveoli, it dissolves in its layer of moisture and passes through the walls of the alveoli into the capillaries, which can then be carried away by the blood cells to different parts of the bodies. So when we get in oxygen into our bodies, the main aim is to get it into the blood. Okay, get it into the blood and into our cells. So what happens here is that the air sacs or the alveoli is surrounded with blood. So anytime the oxygen diffuses into the air sacs, it also diffuses into the blood cells, and then the blood cells sends the oxygen to the various parts of the body. Remember, once the body is filled with blood, the blood also carries carbon dioxide from several parts of the body to the alveoli again, and then the reverse process happens. Now it is not oxygen from the blood to the alveoli, but this time carbon dioxide from the blood into the alveoli. Then it moves to the bronchiole, then from the bronchiole to the bronchi, to the trachea, to the larynx, through the nasal cavity, then out of the nose. And that's the reverse process for breathing out. So let's read. In the reverse process, carbon dioxide in the blood is carried into the capillaries around the alveoli. Then it is then expelled from the lungs, and then it comes out through the nose when we breathe out. Is that clear? When we breathe out, the carbon dioxide comes out. The carbon dioxide was from the blood around the alveoli. Then the carbon dioxide entered the alveoli through diffusion. Then from the alveoli, it comes up through the same process into the nose, and then we breathe out. Okay, very good. Now this is the process. Have a look at the diagram. Inhalation process. Inhalation process. You see that the person has opened his mouth and his nose, and that is the first step, breathing in. That is the first step, breathing in. You can see breathing in here. Okay, breathing in. Then the air travels. This is stage 1. Then the air travels from the nose or the mouth. It travels down stage 2 to the pharynx and the larynx. Okay, we told you that over here the dust and the germs are trapped by the mucus. So you see that we have primary filtration here. This is the third process. Then from there it enters the trachea. The trachea is the windpipe. The windpipe. Okay, then from the trachea another filtration happens in the trachea. Then from the trachea it goes to the left and the right bronchi. Take a look at your diagram once again and you find the bronchi. It goes to the bronchi, to the bronchioles, and to the alveoli. You see the process? The bronchi is the next stage, then the bronchiole is the other, then the alveoli is the last. Okay, so remember the process. From the nose or the mouth to the pharynx and the larynx, then to the trachea, then to the bronchi, to the bronchioles, and then the alveoli. Then in the alveoli, the oxygen is diffused into the blood capillaries where they are needed the most. Where they are needed the most. Very good. So in breathing out, the same process occurs but in a reverse direction. In breathing out, we will have air coming out. So I'm going to label that with green. We have air coming out from the carbon dioxide from the blood capillaries into the alveoli, then into the bronchioles, then into the bronchi, then into the trachea, then into the pharynx, then it will come out through the nose. Okay, so the breathing in process is what is in the red. Air, pharynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, blood capillaries. And then the breathing out is from the blood capillaries to the alveoli, to the bronchioles, to the bronchi, to the trachea, to the pharynx, and then the nose. Alright, very good. I hope you've understood this process very well. You've understood this process very well. Okay. Now let's look at some importance of respiration. What is the importance of respiration? What is the importance of respiration? Respiration provides chemical energy to a living organism. The energy is used in many life activities. We said that in respiration, a lot of energy is released, right? In respiration, a lot of energy is released. And what is this energy used for? 1, heat production in the living organisms, so that it will enable animals to maintain a constant body temperature. The energy is used in heat production so that the animal maintains a constant body temperature. Also, the energy is used in cell division. Human beings grow, animals grow when their cells divide and multiply. So the energy is used in cell division. The energy is also used in the production of chemical substances in the cells. The same energy is used in the production of chemical substances in the cells. The same energy is used in the muscle contraction, which causes movement in animals. Before you lift your leg, some muscles have to work together and they need energy, which energy also comes from respiration. Alright? There's also transmission of nerve impulses. Transmission of nerve impulses. And this is also made possible by the energy we get from respiration. Then finally, breakdown of chemical substances in the cells. And that is also made possible by the energy from respiration. I hope I've made myself clear. Very good. Let's continue. These are some questions you should answer in your exercise book. Okay, we've talked about the process of breathing in. Now your first question is, list the areas in the respiratory system where air passes through to reach the alveoli. I have repeated that answer several times in this lesson. List the areas in the respiratory system where air passes through to reach the alveoli. Number 2, mention 4 importance of respiration. That was just the previous slide. Mention 4 importance of respiration. And then number 3, explain external respiration or breathing. Explain external respiration or breathing. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of this lesson. Answer the questions and bring them for marking. See you next time. Bye-bye.